What do you want? This may seem like a really simple question, something that we should all know. But sadly, in our culture today of busy and distraction and noise, all of these things disconnect us from what we really want. You put on top of that the patriarchal dominance culture that has many religions that are all about dogma and have an awful lot of shoulds laid out in them that say it's not okay to have desire, it's not okay to have your own personal longings because that's selfish or whatever it is. And it's not just religions, it's culture at large that does this on so many levels. And sadly, we buy into it. You know, we get stuck starting to believe that we're not allowed to have our own longings. We're not allowed to want things for ourselves. And then you add to it the fact that the feminine has been so suppressed over the years. The feminine largely represented by women, and women being suppressed, and their needs and wants and longings ending up getting pushed aside and shoved under the rug, or many women feeling like they're supposed to cater to and nurture everyone else but themselves. You end up with this perfect storm of a complete disconnect from what you really want, what is uniquely yours. Now, in the process of this, we need to realize that the greatest gift we can give ourselves is pause, to stop, maybe put our feet on the earth, connect to a tree, connect to our breath, connect to the sun and the sky, and listen. Listen from within. Listen to see what is showing up. What are your deepest longings, right? We can also ask ourselves, if blank was no object, what would I do? If money was no object, if time was no object, if my family was no object, if my job was no object, if my obligations were no object, right? What would I do? And I'm not saying that we can just, throw it all to the wind and say, ignore our responsibilities and whatnot, right? If we're parents, we have children to tend to. If we have a job, we have responsibilities we need to take care of. And that's not to say that we can't do those things. But what I am saying is that we've got to start dreaming, really envisioning, allowing ourselves to ask the question of what we want, to tune into what we want, to see what matters, to see what those deeper longings are. And so here's just a couple of exercises to help you tune in to what you want. One is start by making a list of what you don't want. I've never coached a woman or even spoken with a female friend who doesn't have a lot of clarity on what they don't want. And that is a good place to start. But we can't end there. You do want to go ahead and know all the things that you don't want, but we want to start doing some exercises that also look for what we do want. And one of those is to pay attention to your emotions. Your emotions will give you clues as to what you care about, right? If you get very upset about something, like an injustice or some kind of tragedy, maybe there's a purpose there for you. Maybe there's a mission or a calling there for you that's saying, wow, this really matters to me. This is really important to me. This is something I care deeply about and I want to explore, right? And we can also look at our longings, right? The longings that maybe we wouldn't share with others, the deeper longings of what we really want, the kinds of things that we don't speak when we answer the question of how are you with, oh, I'm fine, right? We want to look at, what do I really long for? No matter how crazy it may seem or how unusual it may seem to many, or even to you, to say, oh, I shouldn't long for that. I shouldn't want that. That's not practical. That's not necessary. That's not possible, right? Before you start putting all of those reasons or justifications why something is not possible, I invite you to explore what is possible simply by listing it out. What don't you want? What are the emotions that trigger something in you that lets you know what you value and what you care about? And what are your deeper longings, the things that you value deeply, that you can get to that care what you care deeply about, because that's going to give you a clue to what really matters to you and what you really want for your life and your soul.